Welcome, everyone. I'm here with Wendy Down, and we are going to talk a little bit about her progression with Atlas and how she's done some amazing things. She's at the beginning of her journey with it, so keep that in mind. And we're doing this for a reason because of anyone who's watching this who's thinking, is this going to work for me? And maybe you've seen some of the other testimonials or case studies where it's been the end of the journey or like bigger numbers. Not to say that she hasn't done amazing things, but I just want to get to a point where it doesn't really matter where you start. It matters kind of what you're doing in order to get the progression and the ball rolling. Does that sound kind of like where we are, Wendy?
Sounds perfect. Yeah. And I know exactly what I want to say. So that what you just said sets me up for
Why
what
don't
I
you just go for it? Just start talking because I don't want you to lose your thought.
Oh, it's okay. I don't really know where to start. So
Okay, so why don't we start with first of who you are and what you do? That'll set us up.
okay. So I'm Wendy Down and I have been in the online space for probably about 20 years as a life coach. Now I'm a doctor of integrative medicine. And so I've got all that many years of kind of developing programs and doing coaching and that's what I do. So where I was at when I came to you is that um, sort of at a level of my business where I had all kinds of stuff created with a small following, I guess, or small group of people that were really into what I'm into. But I was looking at like, how do I organize what I have and how do I extend that to more people?
Perfect. And that leads me into we'll give the result of what you've got so far, and then we could bounce off of that because you, like you just said, you had programs already, and part of the promise of Atlas is to create or grow a premium program within 90 days to with premium clients, premium dream clients, and that is what you've done. Is starting the growth of it. That's where we want to be clear on. You're starting the growth, which is amazing, but you just started in Atlas, I believe, in October of 2021. We're recording this in just January of 2022, and within the 90 days, you were able to get clarity on your dream client, more clarity on it, refine the program delivery, and also eliminate the funnel, the big funnel process in order to deliver and make it very easy for you to reach your clients and talk to them and then sell them. Is that right?
100% true. Yes. And I think another promise that you made about Atlas is about getting the return on your investment. And I have, at this point, the program's not even closed yet for me, but I have almost tripled my investment with that.
Yeah, that's right. I did. That's a big one to forget, Joey. Duh. Like, so the other promise of Atlas is to for me to work with you until you get five times your investment, and you are more than halfway there to that promise as well, which has tripled your investment. So I'm so proud of you. I am grateful that you've trusted me to help you with this, and I just want to hear from you and your experience. And let's just start talking about what's happened.
Okay, great. And you can help shape what I'm going to say for, in any way that you want to. But I guess I'll start by how I first encountered you because I have lived through the process that you're teaching me how to teach and how to apply in my business. And
What do you mean? Okay, so I'm going to stop you there.
yeah,
What do you mean by you've lived through the process of what I'm teaching you?
because I know your process includes going into a group, sharing generously, freely information, answering questions. And that's where I first encountered you was in the Kajabi platform, which is a platform I've moved to and you are too. And so you answered a question that I asked there in such detail and such thoroughness. In fact, I remember I was really struggling with something that I paid somebody $600 to help me sort out. That was an expert. They did not do that for me. And you did that for free in that group,
Oh, wow.
even knowing me. And so I experienced firsthand your generosity there. And then we started, I think I reached out to you in a private message, and then you spent all kinds of time with me. I think it was like our first conversation, just back and forth was like about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Just you helping me sort out where I was at, listening to me. And I kept waiting for you to kind of like,
You're,
I'm done.
where's the switch? Where's the
Yeah,
yeah, where's the call to action here?
yeah. And it didn't come. And eventually we got to the end of the conversation where it was clear that it was the right time for me and you were the right person to help me with where I was at next. And then I was able to see that you had used your process on me.
Right.
Clearly, you were taking me through the steps that I could see, and it still worked.
Yeah. But you saw that after you went into Atlas.
That's right.
Yeah. That's
Right.
what I want to really point out, because the beauty of Atlas, and would you agree with the statement that the beauty of Atlas is that you're not only now zooming out, learning the methods and all the coding behind it or whatever, but you also experience it, just like you said, as a student. So you're going through it, and then you're also learning how to do it, and it's
Yeah.
like kind of meta, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to just draw a little picture for you because I was
Yeah.
thinking about like what is it that you've given me and you continue to give me that I didn't have before?
Okay.
Because it's not like I didn't learn how to do online stuff or that other people haven't been or don't continue to be valuable. But
Sure.
there's something I realized that's very specific that I just want to try and put into words if I can.
Please do.
Which is like, I'm just going to draw you this little picture. So kind of if this is like little, let's say this is the ocean.
Okay.
And so I was swimming in an ocean of online and information I could share and programs and just like not sure, like how do I get from where I am now with all of this great stuff that I know to reach people that want what I have and to take not just them through a journey, but my business through a journey. And so what Atlas did and what you did for me is sort of where I was starting from, sort of laid out what the steps are. And I know that sounds familiar to you, but here's the piece that I want to emphasize is that so because of the way that you structure what you do, which includes not just like laying out through Atlas the steps of the program,
Mm-hmm.
it's this incredible support that even though I've only bought Atlas once, like you've got all the pieces to support me as I build these steps over time. Like the first time I went through Atlas, it was just like these were just ideas that I was
Right.
barely able to take in. So picture those like shadows,
Yeah.
like barely got it. And because you're so available in your private Facebook group, it's like whatever step of the piece I'm working on, you're able to, oh, this is the thing I wanted to show you.
Cool.
Because
This is so nice. Thank you.
my husband's a pharmacist and he comes home with these cards that I just use all the time. So if this is like the ocean, what I understand now is these simple stepping stones that you lay out, these are like icebergs. Every single one of them is like just a really simple presentation of this depth of knowledge and information that you have because you've done so much work. And whenever I come to you or whenever I ask a question in your private Facebook group, no matter what piece of it I'm asking about, you'll meet me there and give me the next piece from
Oh
your
wow.
depth to
Oh
help
wow.
sort of strengthen this. It chokes me
That
up for
wow.
myself because I mean, it's so, I know, you get it, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to hold it back.
Yeah, I know, I'm getting teary too because um, it's because of all of what you do is based on such generosity that your willingness, oh my gosh, we're gonna make each other cry now.
Well,
Is
this
that
is part of it, right? This is
yeah,
why we're heart-centered people.
right. because when it's like with other things I've taken or other things I take, I can get the pieces,
Hmm.
but the timeliness and the availability and the willingness to kind of hear where I'm at and then give me the very next piece that is going to help me sort of make that piece of the stepping stone more stable for myself.
Right.
So it's not so much just that I've, successfully been able to like sort of shakily traverse this to get some pieces in place for myself and for this first group that I'm working with. It's that I know that over time I can keep coming back to you, like coming back to you and to Atlas and to your group to like build that path until it's rock solid.
Right.
And the feeling of it is kind of like you're married too. When you were single, it was like, who am I going to marry?
Yeah.
And then you make this decision and it's like that decision is done. You're
Yeah.
like, that piece of the puzzle is in place. And same with like, you don't know where you're going to live. And then it's like, oh, you find your house. And then it's like, oh, okay, now we start, this is where it is. That piece is in place. And now we start building that. That's what I feel like is that you've given me
Well, thank you.
with my business, because I don't have to look elsewhere for what other people do. I don't have to think, is this a better way? Is that a better way? Because I've found my way of working, that's your way of working. And so it's just a matter of kind of over time shoring up all those pieces. And I know where to go to for that.
Thank you. Wow. Wow. I, yeah, I am speechless. That is. I mean, you've basically summarized, what I envisioned without me ever verbalizing that and what you drew out. So I love you and thank you for that. That is amazing. And it just makes my heart sing when I hear that, because that's all. You know me. Like, I have, I guess, too much knowledge maybe sometimes that I like to spew about. But it's when that somebody can look at me as their guide that means the world to me, because at the end of our lives, like the selfish part of all my business is the fact that every one of my clients, including you, would be their last, in their last moments would be, hey, Joey kind of helped me out. He was part of it, right? That's the selfishness that I want from my doing what I'm doing, but it's not about just all money and all this other kind of thing. And it's so brilliant to, and I'm so grateful for you saying that. So thank you for allowing me to step into my zone of genius and do what I do every day for you and everybody in the tribe. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. There was something else I wanted to say too, in particular, as a woman. And I know we kind of talked about this just privately once, but I want to say it here as well, which is that because your way of working is built on generosity and giving, that's so much sort of innate to a lot of women. And yet that has never worked very well for most of us in a business environment.
Mm.
And what your model does is allows that generosity that's, I think, innate to a lot of women and men as well. Obviously, you're an example of that, but makes that right
Yeah.
and makes it smart.
Thank you. How did that, on that point, is there any detail that you could give on how you were able to employ some of that innate giving to the process of converting your clients now into this world, or into your program? Any
Um,
insights?
yeah, a number of ways, I guess. I mean, um, one is like just simple things like when somebody buys something of mine, just like a standalone program or something like that. I wouldn't sort of I wouldn't have a relationship with them. But one of the things I started doing was just sending a personal note from myself saying, thank you so much for buying that. Let me know how it works. And people would respond with like just things that um, felt good, and that I started to have more relationship with people before they became clients.
Yeah.
And the other thing that feels really good is because I know one of the things you have encouraged me to do and that I have learned from you and get benefit from you on is setting up like a private Facebook group or private community that is really just about giving generously to people in that setting. And so that's a place where I mean, that's part of the business model, but it's also feels really, really good to just freely share and help people there in a setting that I understand also serves my purposes, because it lets people who are just watching those conversations
Yeah.
see what I'm able to do and how they might also be helped. Um, Another part of the model is that when I was filling my small group program, which is what you've helped me kind of specifically do, is that I came like the conversations, I had conversations with every single person that were um, interested, and I knew exactly sort of how to engage in those conversations with them in a way that was helpful to them independently, so
Right.
that they could just walk away with something really valuable for me, but also help them get clear on whether the program that I was offering was right for them. And it also helped me to get to know them really well,
Right.
so that I know everybody who's now joining my group, because we've had conversations about what their intentions are, where they're at. And in fact, one person who was really wanted to join, I suggested it wasn't a good time for her to join.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so I turned that away for her good,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I just knew I knew so I know so much information about everybody that's going to be there. And um, the other piece about that, I'm just going to say, has to do with authenticity, which is the way that your model works. Is it's about just showing up as you are and letting people know, hey, I'm figuring this out, and you help
Yeah.
them to figure it out.
Right.
And there's something really beautiful that we all like to be part of someone else's journey. So to let somebody know that, included in the model is that they get a discount for that, but also they get to participate, just like I now get to participate in your journey,
Right.
because I know what it is. I know you're still in the process of sort of scaling as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the community part, so there's two
Mhm.
questions I have. Hopefully I'll remember both. But the first one is like when you joined the Atlas tribe community and you now know almost well, you know everybody in there. And how did that feel to you in terms of the connections or the similarities that you have with the tribe in terms of who you are as people?
Um, it's amazing, the openness and the support that you've been able to generate in a business forum. I'll say that. And the level of connection that people feel to each other, and the level of support I feel, even as somebody who's fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's because you know how to do that. Like strategically, you understand what it takes to do that. For example, something that you do every Friday is just ask us for our wins. What an amazing thing, just to have a place that people can come and share, like, hey, this was a great thing that happened to me today
Yeah.
or this week, right? And so that alone is extreme, because people don't get that anywhere else in their life for the most part. So that's something I've seen you do. I know that's smart decision making on your part for engagement. So there's that piece, but there's also just your humanness and your availability and your own vulnerability that makes people want to support you and also support each other.
Cool.
Does that
Yeah,
answer
it's
that?
yeah, it is. It's a great answer, and there's parts there that I didn't even fathom to put together because I still when somebody gives me props for the group or whatever, I still don't think it's strategic. It was kind of like throw things at the wall, and but when you can always connect the dots going backwards, and you're right that the I think the weekly wins thing was definitely part of like how do I get more people engaged and show them that this is a different group of like we care about you and this is not about me sending you to a webinar and trying to get you to buy something, right? Not that there's anything wrong with any of that, but that's not what the group is about. So that was the first part of it. And but what I'm really shining a light on is from all the things that you said about, you know, feeling authentic and being yourself and all that and feeling that you have the support. And now that you've spoken to your new group coming, the other question is, and I'll come back to this because I'm going to wrap all this together, is the question is, do you feel that you're that you could say to all of those people individually, you're going to love the group?
Are they going to love my group?
Yes. You're
Yeah.
going to love the people that are in the group.
I think so. I mean,
How comfortable are you saying that to them?
I love each one of them and I know each one of them. I don't know how to answer that, Joey.
That's cool. I mean, I'm just saying. I think that's going to be a breakthrough for you because if you would have asked me that question in the first Atlas, I probably would have answered the same way, right? Yeah, I really don't know. But now, every time, that's one of my quote unquote selling points is because I know that everyone in the group is a quote unquote dream client, right? You're all the same. That's why I asked you this question is you're all relatively the same, kind-hearted, heart-centered, vulnerable, supportive, all of that stuff, even though we've got different lives and different businesses and all that, different personalities, but everybody's there as the same type of person. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. And also, people are coming together with clarity about what's important to them. Um, and to have the support of others that also are bringing something that's really important to them and that they share commonalities with. I can see that will be very bonding, and I do expect that, but I haven't experienced it yet because I haven't.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
when you do experience that, that'll be like another breakthrough aha moment, and it'll bring you to the next level of what you're doing. It's an amazing feeling, and I can't wait for you to get there because that's where I am. And with the community, that's kind of why it naturally builds for me now. Like you on the outside might look at, wow, look at the strategic thing that he's doing, and he knows how to build it. And I wouldn't disagree, but at the same time, if you said, "Why don't you teach a course on that?" I wouldn't know what I'm doing, right? Because it has everything to do with the dream client. It has everything to do with as you're being taught in Atlas, right? Who am I? Who do I want to work with first? Who are the people that just light me up? And then when you get that so clear and they start coming into your life like you are, then it's easy because if I like Wendy and she likes me, then if I get somebody who's exactly like Wendy, then I'm pretty sure that that person's going to like Wendy and Wendy's going to like that person too, right? It's just a natural growth of a community tribe when you focus in on that one person at one time for the first time. Like just let me get one person that's like this. What do you
yeah.
think about that? What are your
Too,
thoughts on that?
I think yes, and I think too that part of the reason that you don't see the how strategic or how smart the decisions that you make are is that it comes back to this.
Yeah.
It's just that you've studied so much. All of this stuff is just like background for you. Like you don't even have to consciously think about it. It's just like part of you. And so you just can pull from that and do pull from that without thinking of it as strategy.
Wow. Thank you. I mean, I'm getting more out of this than you are. uh, Let me ask you this question. I'm gonna be devil's advocate and say, like, so what were you worried about when you were first buying Atlas? There had to be some kind of thing there. What was that? What does that look like?
Um, I guess I was worried that I was choosing the wrong piece of my business to focus on and build out.
Okay,
My business is pretty, and what I teach is pretty wide ranging. And I was concerned that I could do all this work and it still wouldn't work.
got it.
And
When
so,
did you? Oh, go ahead.
so that was actually really early on. I thought I knew who I wanted to work with and what I wanted to work on. And one of the exercises you had us do was just to test out, are these people looking for what you're offering? And they weren't.
Right,
And so that wasn't great.
right.
But then I think you asked me a question, or just in general asked the group a question about, if you had to boil down what you do to the simplest, most basic one thing, what is that one thing? And I knew instantly what that was. And so then I really just focused on, everything being about teaching that one thing and people who want to learn that one thing. And that actually is the pivot for everything else that my work is about. Does that make sense?
Because you have multiple things, like multiple programs here and there, right? And it's not to say, because I know that people watching this are, a lot of them are going to be in the same boat. They got a lot of things going on, and then they've heard of niching down or like one thing and all this, like, oh, no, 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 I can't do all that. But here you are saying that this is what's actually moved the needle in my business, and it doesn't mean that you're going to never ever do other things, right? It just means right now the focus is on this one area to build first, right?
Yeah. And it's that I got clear that if anybody to do any of those other things needs to learn this one thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's the first job of the program, which is to do anything else in my business. I'm speaking from your perspective. They need to learn this one thing,
Mhm.
and that will progress them into the rest of my business, which is brilliant.
Yeah,
I love that.
me
I
too.
love that.
Me too.
And what was there an aha moment where you said, maybe this Atlas thing can work for me?
Can work for me.
Yeah. Like, was there the aha moment? And if there was, what was it? Or do you remember?
Well, intuitively, it felt right off the get-go.
Cool.
So, I was an instant yes, because you said, you don't have to, if you have a mailing list the size that I have, that's enough.
Right.
The first time that I had heard that was just like, you just need to learn how to engage with the people that already are part of, are interested in what you're doing. So that was a big aha. That was a big, like, okay, I'm in for this. Um,
And it wasn't hype, right? Because I mean, this is what I want people to hear, because the industry's selling so much out there. You need X amount of this and X amount of that, or be on platforms everywhere and all this stuff. And there's nothing wrong with being those things, but there's a lot of complexity to it.
mhm.
And well, I'm not at that level yet, and I can't get started yet. And that's what I'm trying to pull away from, saying, no, you can actually do this.
Yeah, and I would say too, it's not like what you teach and what I have to do and have had to do is easy or little. There's still a lot, like every single one of these steps,
Yeah.
like there's a lot to put in place to make them solid. Like one piece I know that you recommend is like finding places where your people hang out online and then just going in there regularly and giving freely, um, for specific reasons and that sort of thing. I do not have that piece in place at all yet, but
Right.
I know that piece at some point will be something I'll be ready to take on. And so I have work to do in that, and all the other pieces are the same too.
Well, that brings up a great point, because when we first chatted, I think we were talking about your assets, like what do you have right now, and you had programs, you have like years and years of experience, which is amazing. You have an email list already, and you were looking at other components to add sales pages or some funnels and all these things. And I'm like, why do that? Why don't we just focus on your assets that you already have, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's an important thing for anyone listening who is in maybe Wendy's position who has something. Even if it's a small list of 50 people, I don't really care. You've at least got an email list, and you don't have to necessarily go out and build this entire YouTube channel or Facebook presence or anything like that. What I try to help people do, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like use what you've got now. And if you don't have anything now, then I'll help you kind of build the pieces of it. But if you got something small, let's see what we can do with that with first. Like remove the complexity.
Yeah, and I would say also that's what you really help me with too, is just knowing. So I have an email list that I regularly send out to, but you really help me know exactly what types of emails to send out,
Hmm.
even right down to the wording, that you've helped me edit some of the wording. And yeah, just like frameworks for, like, you just give freely, say 7 emails are just free information, useful information, no asking, except in a really short little PS at the end. And
Yeah,
then 1 in 7 or 1 in 10 is just an ask. So that's what I mean about, like, you giving like the big framework that makes sense, but then also the specific help to make it, like, put it into action right away.
that's amazing. And you got results from that. Like these are not, we're not talking about these pushy type of emails,
Mhm.
right? We're talking about like, let me help you out with something, and kind of a, by the way, I'm doing this thing. If you want to know more about it, kind of let me know, right?
Yeah.
And from those emails, you just got people responding saying, yeah, tell me more about this. And when that happened, you didn't go into, great, go check out my sales page with the timers and all that kind of stuff. No, right? Like, can you walk us through what happened there
Starting where?
from when people said, yeah, you know what, I'd like to know more about your program?
Yeah. So what I did was put, like, with your help, I developed a way of phrasing this group program that I'm starting in, you know, an email, short email. And I put that as a PS at the bottom of my newsletters, just saying, PS, when you're ready, or if you're interested, I'm starting this small group for these reasons. If you're interested, send me a little, or reply to this email with a note that says curious.
Yeah.
And so people did that. And then rather than me saying, oh, here's all the group information, or here, go to my webpage that describes it, you help me know how to lead them through a conversation that would help me get to know them and help them get clear on what it was they were looking for, so that by the time the end of that conversation came about, I could say, would you like to know, what I'm offering, knowing that they had sort of, that we had a relationship at that point, that was specifically focused on where they were at in their journey, to see whether the group that I was offering would be a next logical step for them. Is that
Bingo. Bingo.
okay?
So it wasn't all just about, let me get this person to the sale as fast as possible. Don't care what they're saying, need to get the money, right? Because I want to stress these points because that's what makes Atlas powerful and separate from what a lot of people are teaching. Just fill the funnel, get them in as much as possible, and then see you later. I'll sit on the beach. And like you said at the beginning of this, which was, no, we're here to support them. Is this the person that I can support throughout the program? Am I right?
Yeah. And
Okay,
also,
cool.
I mean, so those conversations, the numbers that I had, they are at all various stages of that connection. So a
Yeah.
certain number of people have come right to the end and, paid me their money and they're starting the group. The others have kind of gotten to a certain point, but there's a relationship there now
Hmm.
with people that, here's the thing, a lot of people have followed me for years, but I've never given them a way to sort of engage with me other
Hmm.
than sign up for my one-to-one sessions or buy this product from me. And so now I'm giving them a way to just communicate with me, invitation. And there's so much more relationship building that's a real relationship rather than just like sort of one-sided,
Yeah.
me giving them stuff and it being like no relationship really.
Yeah, and I think that what you'll find too is I can't wait for our next one because it's going to be a real case study where you're like at the at the other level of this, but um, is where because right now you're starting the flywheel, you're starting to push it, right, and it's a little harder to push. It's like it takes a little bit more energy, but in those relationships that haven't turned into conversions or sales or whatever at this point are still in that flywheel. And you're going to find, I predict, that those people will start to come around in the future, near future, maybe next year, maybe in 2 months from now, whatever. But the more you continue to do that, and I'm hoping everyone listening to this is listening to what I'm saying here, is that those relationships are now always in that flywheel. So even if you're having one or two conversations at a time, thinking, I need to like bring in 3,000 people at a time here. No, you've got this flywheel of energy and bonding and relationship always happening. So that when you do another invitation, those people who are in that flywheel will reach out and say, you know what, I think I'm ready now.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is, I mean, for those of us that are heart-centered, in your words, and mine too, we're in business because we care about people and we want to help people and we feel that we genuinely have something that can help people. Um, even it's so satisfying, even if people never buy,
Yeah,
to to know that you've made a difference, like you said. There's a lot of people that just say, I listened to a recording of yours from 10 years ago all the time or something. And it doesn't matter that that person's not paying me. That um that feeds me, like that
exactly.
is extremely satisfying on a completely different level. So it allows me to be a contribution in the world in a way that feels good. And I don't always need to know, like, it doesn't have to be a one-to-one exchange.
Yeah, I love that about you, Wendy. And, and I really, I thank you for all of this. This is so amazing. And is there any question that I should have asked you that I didn't ask?
I don't think so. I was going to ask you the same thing. Is there anything that you wanted me to say that I haven't said?
No, I think we scripted this out absolutely perfectly, and I'll be paying you online through PayPal if that's okay for all of that. No, but no, this has been amazing, and I'm looking forward to the next conversation that we have. I think that if you want to end this with maybe, uh, you know, we talked about like where you are. So you ended up with almost triple of your investment of Atlas. You're on your way to 5xing that, and you're still not. Oh, here's the one thing I wanted to ask you was the program. I know we've tweaked the program, or you've had the program, or we've delivered it differently, or something like that. How much of your program do you have ready to go, like right now? Are you in that beta stage where you're building it with people, or can you just give us some enlightenment on that? Because that's a lot of what Atlas is about too.
Um, I mean, I know the outcomes that I want for people. I it's a total test to see what works. You know
Okay,
what I
so
mean?
you
Like
are building it with them,
building it with people.
and you've
Absolutely.
gotten paid for that up front.
Yes, that's
That's
right.
what I want to stress then.
And so I already know that I'm going to say, the first time that we meet, I'm testing a bunch of things out here. We're going to see how this goes. Um, I would love to know, what problems there are, what
Yeah.
works, what doesn't work, because I'm going to do this again and your feedback is going to help me get better at it. And the reason I know to do that is because I've seen you do that,
Yeah.
been part of that.
Right. And
Yeah,
so you didn't go and build this entire program out first, and then you're going to go teach it. So you're going to build it week to week. Is that what you're doing?
that's right. Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I basically have an outline in my head.
Right.
I don't, yeah, it's going to be very fluid for sure.
So what you sold really was an idea,
Yeah.
which is another big point I want to stress at the end of this conversation, because you didn't have to do all of the prep work and all of the things to sell it. You just said, here's the idea, here's the outcome I know that I want to get them, put that out as the sales offer and see if anybody takes that, which they did.
Mhm.
And now we go from here.
Now we go from here.
You are a rock star.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this time. I can't wait for everyone to see this, because you're going to look back on this in a year from now and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe where I started from, and here I am at this level." Like
Okay.
the year from now, Wendy.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Thank you so much, Wendy. See you
Welcome.
soon.
Bye.